Hi, welcome to another week. I wanted to give a few announcements, including some extra details on the next couple weeks worth of assignments. Everyone should be having a spring break at some point this month and hopefully can get a little bit rejuvenated as well. I know how long and how hard everyone works. I wanted to also let you know that our spring break, that Westminster campus spring break, I will not be available either. I'm very excited. I've been saving up for about a year now, and I'm taking my son on a big trip. We're going to be on a cruise, so I will not be by a computer for 1 week. After March 23rd until April 1st. April 1st we'll be back, and that is Easter, the Easter holiday, so I'm sure that some of you will be doing things on that day as well. But so for that week, hold on tight. Please know if there's a problem or you don't know what to do and something is due and you can't figure it out, don't panic. I promise I'll talk to you and we'll work it out together when I get back. So please don't panic. I hope you know that that we'll come up with a plan. If it is an absolute emergency, you can certainly reach out to Murney within our department. So you could call the Early Childhood Education Department and call Murney Rosenberg if you would like. Or just know that during that 1 week spring break, hopefully you'll be enjoying some time as well, and that I will be back within 1 week. So that said, let's move ahead, and I'll take a picture or share a little something with Thomas. Maybe I'll have Thomas pop back in and share what his favorite part of our vacation was when we get back. He's actually busy making his first PowerPoint with a whole bunch of cool bells and whistles, so maybe I will share that PowerPoint with you in our class. So let's look at the syllabus. And what I did is I updated things for you. Someone pointed out to me this week, they said, this is what we were having do this week, this weekly assignment 3, positive learning environment. Yep. So most of you probably are finishing it up today, the 18th, because I put that in on our classes due today. But if you're following the syllabus, again, I'll never count it against you. If you didn't get it done today, then you have until next Sunday. The first thing coming up due that probably none of you have done yet is the lesson plan. And you've got a couple, I made your discussions longer, so you still only have to do 3 posts across time, but it's across 2 weeks instead of 1. I did that for this entire month. So discussion number 9 started last week, and it'll go through this week as well, and that is reading each other's PowerPoints, listening to each other's research, and responding to one another. So you have 2 weeks to do that. I want you to go deeper with those discussions rather than our usual 1 week discussions. And then again, actually, we will have a discussion that lasts 2 weeks. So the very first thing coming up that is due, and that's due in the middle of the week. I know that's weird and it's uncommon. So if for some reason you miss that due date and it ends up at next Sunday, I'm not going to count it against you, but I was trying to get you to have a little more done so that once break starts, you can really just take it easy. So I have it due on the 22nd, which would be Thursday, and that way I can review some of it as well before our spring break comes. So let me show you what the lesson plan looks like. And I can tell you about the reason why I want you to do it. So this is your template, and you can download it, and it will be available this week in this week's materials for you. You're making a lesson plan for a preschool age class. Think about 20 to 30 minutes in length. And this is something that if you decided to work in a public school, just as a professional, you should know how to make a thorough lesson plan as well. And if you decided to teach elementary or anything else, you're going to have lots of practice writing lesson plans. They get quicker over time. You can find some online as well and modify those as you're playing with them. But I want you to try to practice starting one from scratch to really feel that process, and know that in the day-to-day, in your day-to-day work, you might make those lesson plans shorter or get kind of faster at it, and obviously as the years go by it gets faster as well, and you can find some online. So a lesson plan is literally spelling out what you're doing with students. So I'm going to use this as an example. Let's say I'm doing we're studying fairy tales, and I'm going to do 30 minutes on the 3 Little Pigs, and I'm doing this right now as practice, by the way. So let's say for materials I need my book, and I would give more detail, but I don't know, what books right now because I'm making it offhand. And I was thinking about the alternate books as well. I love those things. So I've got one called The Fourth Little Pig, and there's one about the not so bad, very bad wolf. And let's say I also want pink paper and markers and glue. You get the idea. Let's say we're going to do a craft. So I'm listing all the materials that I need. So what is it that I need? And then the objective is what I want the children to learn. So children will be able to recite or, know the major storyline and characters from Three Little Pigs. Obviously, I'm doing this very fast. You would give a little more detail, but you get the idea. You had to answer a bit about standards in your midterm, so hopefully this isn't a brand new concept here. I gave the link, and what I would like you to do is use that link and look up the standards. Let me give you an example. I'm going to pull that up and show you now. So I'm looking at the early childhood learning standards, and that site. So you could look at the standards here, and what I find most useful, here's preschool reading, writing, and communicating standards. So I'm going to click on it, and you're just going to pick one or two standards. It's important to know what the standards are, though. These are the Colorado Academic Standards, preschool through 12th grade. And let's see. Understanding conveyed through, it says standard 1.1, understanding conveyed through vocabulary words through a variety of modalities. So what are the names of different people, for instance? How many words do you know that are the opposites? So what's the opposite of bad, like the big bad wolf? What's the opposite of little, the Three Little Pigs? So if I was going to write down the standard, in my lesson plan, I'm back to the lesson plan, I would list preschool reading standard 1.1, and I would list out what that was. I don't remember the exact words offhand, and I'm trying to do it fast for you, but you would put that there. The outline is what you're going to do. So what's going to happen in the beginning, what's going to happen in the middle, what's going to happen in the end. So at the beginning, I'm going to give details. This is going to be circle time. We're going to maybe do a picture walk, showing the children what the book is about. I'm going to read the story, and so on. Again, I'm just giving a shorthand now. In the middle, maybe we are going to reenact the story where the children repeat the lines. Who's afraid? Knock, knock, knock. Let me in, not by the hair of our chinny chin chins, right? So I'm doing that with the children. Just a little entertainment for you there. So I'm going to put that in there, right? The children repeat the lines after teacher. And maybe they're going to make pink pig puppets, and I'm going to give detail there. And then the end is going to be a reenactment. And then maybe I'm going to read the alternate endings. So some of those fun books. Okay. Really important things. Differentiation. That means, how do I make it? If a child already knows all of this and this is way too easy for them, what can I do to make it more challenging? And what can I make it less challenging? Maybe someone else can't stay focused for that long. So I'm going to explain how to do that. So maybe I'm going to, for the student that is maybe ahead or advanced, they are going to read one of those stories, and they're going to write a little bit about their alternate ending. For a child that needs less time, maybe I'm going to break down the story or just share one version of the Three Little Pigs instead of two. Okay? And then assessment. How am I going to know what they learned? For little ones, a lot of times this isn't a test, right? Like what they're big, what they're, when they're bigger. But maybe I'm going to do a what we learned chart. Or I'm going to ask one-on-one, you know, tell me about, retell the story. And I'm going to make note of if they're able to tell me the story. So assessment is just, how do we know if they actually learned what we're trying to teach them? So again, this is the template. You're going to fill it out and really look at what a traditional lesson plan looks like, or at least one version of a traditional lesson plan. Okay. So that assignment is due by Thursday. That's the lesson plan. Okay. The weekly assignment number 3, many of you have done already because I had it listed for this week. If you did not, then it's due next Sunday for you. And what you're doing is you're creating, this should be fun. If you like to build models, if you have old Barbie stuff, if you like to use computer programs, or if you just want to sketch freehand, but you're drawing what an ideal classroom would look like. Picture, sky's the limit, right? You've got all the money that you need. How are you going to create different zones and centers? A lot of people will draw just circles to represent tables and maybe squares, you know, or squares to represent tables and circles to represent chairs, but you're making a diagram. It's almost as though, well, you're an architect. So I've seen some amazing things. You can, if you draw those pictures, you can take photos and scan them that way. If you use a computer program, you can upload that. I've seen some really neat things over the years. I've seen people really have fun like designing little things as well. Okay. And this should include all those different learning zones and areas. And then last but not least, we're looking at making sure that it's just very similar to our lesson plan, and that is where you need to differentiate. So how do we work with all types of children? So on April 1st, you're going to create a list of 2 or 3 tools or resources. So that could be websites, books that you've seen, or specific teaching techniques, but you have to see where you got them for 6 different types of disabilities. So that could be things like dyslexia, ADHD, autism spectrum, maybe hard of hearing, possibly Down syndrome. Those are all disabilities, right? Speech and language impairments. Think about some of the children you work with and looking up resources for them. And one other area needs to be giftedness, because you're going to work with many gifted children. What's that mean? And typically we're talking about children with they're at the very high end of IQs, so they have very good memory, very good vocabulary. Maybe they're reading before other children. They're able to memorize things quickly. They might act quite mature. Sometimes they might struggle as well with their friends or with collaboration or working with others because of that also, because they're just kind of thinking differently than other children. So that's what I mean by giftedness. And there's a format that you follow for that as well, and you're going to be able to see that before that date, but it looks like this. And I don't even think it's called assignment number 5 anymore, but whatever the assignment is, you can see it says, if I can get this to you, here's what is the disability. So here, if I said giftedness, and then I'm going to list the resource or tool. So I'm going to make something up because I'd like you to be able to find some, but there are some national organizations for giftedness. So maybe I found a book. I know there's one. I'll make one here. There's one called Counseling of Gifted and Talented. Okay. And that's by Dr. Linda Silverman. So maybe I talk about that. And then my second resource I'm going to list right here, and then the third resource. So you're scouring the web. You're looking up, here's a disability I'm interested in, here's the resources. So maybe another thing would be, you know, I'm going to look up resources for kids with autism. So that's what that whole assignment is, and that's due on the 1st. Okay, I think we are close to done. I just wanted to make sure that you saw those assignments. So those are what are coming up.